May we please give our authors a hand? A wise man once said, we're paying attention. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Show me who you instantly click with, and I'll show you the bonfire that will draw the people closer. When you have one stick of fire and another one, and you bring them all together, that flame will burn bright. Now, depending on the type of fire that you light, is it going to be warming the people who are cold? Is it going to cook to feed the hungry? Or is it going to burn down what our forefathers have been working for? Get December. And finally, I would like to formally introduce the second mother that was introduced. She's a former life skills teacher, director of education in Ohangwena, and now is the executive director of education, the Ministry of Education. Now, again, and, right? And in keeping with the theme that I imposed, Augustinus should have never given me a microphone. My condolences, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sorry, but. So with that said, I had to ask Mrs. Sanet Steenkamp, what is it that drew you to Mr. Ngombe? And she said, she described when she first went to the school where he worked, and they had an encounter. You know how they say first impressions last? A wise man once said, first impressions last, but lasting impressions first. Mr. Ngombe made a lasting impression first. And that has spoken to his character consistently. I can go to a job interview and sell myself, and I'll sell you dreams. And I've made a good first impression. And then fired 3 weeks later because not matching. Hence, lasting impressions first. The lasting impressions that Mrs. Steenkamp pointed out to me, the confidence, the way he approached her, unintimidated, unapologetic. As our first mother pointed out, if you know your purpose. And he did that. On top of that, his authenticity. And I can attest, this man is as authentic as they come. And finally, truthful. Truthful, even in those truths that, some of us might try. No, they don't have to know that. Just. But he brought it all out. And here today, we have an amazing mother. Someone who is going to and has been causing an tremendous amount of impact on our education system. Ladies and gentlemen, show me who you inspire. ... A wise man will say. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mrs. Steenkamp.
Thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Harrison. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm old school. He speaks from the heart, so do I, but I'm a teacher by profession. So I'm never without a pen or a notebook. No handbag of mine is without a pen, a notebook, and now and then a lipstick. I want to start off this session with gratitude. I am so amazingly thanking God for this privilege to make eye contact with all of you today, to share this platform with you today. Augustinus, when I entered, I found him standing at the door. And I took his hand and I looked into his eyes and I said, it's so wonderful to see you again and to connect with you again. I thank you for the invitation. You always humble me and you always inspire me. That's a fact. I want to thank his mother for raising such a fine son, who is a brother to Emmanuel and a husband to Helena. And to have his children here today, they may not understand, but they will remember the people. And they will remember when the discussions are held and when there's reflection. I really want to thank Harrison, our wise man. If we are not careful, Harrison will steal the light, and that we cannot allow. I really wish to thank Reverend Anthony. When I passed him, I quickly read. You must learn to quickly read. I quickly read the name and I said, Reverend? And I was immediately impressed because, you know, for us, Reverend is wearing a cross. And here's this finely dressed gentleman. I'm not saying reverends are not finely dressed. Here's this finely dressed, unapologetic reverend. You know, and if you look around, you will see that Augustinus is always surrounded with people who are impeccably dressed, because he himself is a trendsetter when it comes to fashion. I wish to thank Otto Kapuka for being our ambassador of hope, for allowing us to reflect once more on the importance of family life and how we can instill and nurture hope in others. The examples he gave, and I always said, the things that we need to do not cost money. And when you said that, our souls connected. And I thank you that I have met again another person whose contact details I can take and whom I know we can walk another path. Fortune, 18-year-old learner. When Augustinus said that the deputy head will be there and another young man from the school, I said, you see, you are nurturing leaders already. Because when people tell their story, we have an opportunity to change the narrative that other people think we have. We must speak up. We are the ones to change our narrative. Harmony, Ayoba, who performed for us so soulfully, I thank you. I wish to also recognize the presence from our guest of South Africa. Is it Mr. Shilinzi? The first name. I'll stick with that for now. We will still meet up. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I want to also recognize the presence of Mr. David Namalenga, a big hero of mine. He's in the audience. And you know what? He doesn't have to be here. He is an established man. He's his own person. He doesn't have to be here, but he's here because he supports nationhood building and he supports our youth. I wish to recognize Ishmael, my colleague from College of the Arts, and I wish to recognize each one of you present. I want you to turn to the person on your left, put your hand on his shoulder, and say, I appreciate you. And if you don't find somebody on your left, turn to your right. I am a proud public servant. First and foremost, I am a proud public servant. For now, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. I've listened to the two speakers, and when Augustinus asked me to please come, I almost wanted to dodge this event. You know, because being in front of people, I was like, what am I going to talk, man? What am I going to say? I was wrestling with the Holy Spirit. I was saying, Spirit, you will have to show me. You will have to guide me. Because there will be so many people. And see how blessed we are here. We are here because we want to be here, isn't it? First and foremost, we want to be here this morning to take pride in Augustinus and what he have achieved. And what Otto said is so true. You know, a thesis or a chapter or an article or a book doesn't write itself. It takes discipline, it takes sacrifices, it takes blood, shed, tears. Sweat and tears, that's what it takes to write a book. I haven't tried it yet. I'm the one of the people who have got the book here. But I also know how am I going to spend my December. Oh yes, I know. I'm working on my studies, December. All right. So I want to speak today. He asked me to speak within my context. And since we've got such a room filled with young men and women eager to learn, I was thinking I will share a little bit also about myself. I was so inspired by Augustinus when I met him. I thought he was the principal of the school. He was well articulated. He was intimidated. He wasn't intimidated. I mean, when you go to a school, you know, and you're the executive director, people want to pull out chairs for you. They want to, no, don't do that. He was just himself. He walked with me, and I asked for his telephone number. Elena, you must know that I asked for his telephone number. So the question is, how do we as leaders, in terms of intelligence and emotional intelligence, how do we as leaders, wherever we are, in whatever context we are right now, we are leaders. You must believe that. So how do we as leaders manage our feelings so that they are expressed appropriately, effectively, and enabling other people to work together as a collective towards achieving that common good? Remember, we talk about shared leadership. Leadership is not locked up in a position. It is who we are. So how do we make sure that we handle our emotions when we work with people? And one of the best competencies that a leader should have is emotional intelligence. Otto said that we hardly talk about self-leadership. When Augustinus interviewed me the first time, he wanted me to talk about authentic leadership, self-leadership, self-management. There are various two dimensions about emotional intelligence. There's the personal dimension. The issue of being self-aware, that Fortune also talk about self-awareness, self-reflection, self-management, self-control, and then the issue of being, when we speak to people, being assertive, not aggressive, and not submissive. It's a fine line. Sometimes people think they are assertive, but they actually are treading into the territory of another person, and they become a little bit aggressive. Now you see, in our cultural context, I stayed for 18 years up north, and it was so difficult for me when people did not want to make eye contact, because they are not taught to make eye contact. For them, when they make eye contact, it's seen as a challenge to the person. They are taught that you must be respectful, you don't make eye contact, you know. And is there something wrong with it? Not necessarily. But as it said, we don't just remain in the village, out in the world. And then it is important to walk properly, to carry yourself properly, to walk up straight, to make eye contact, to make the person feel worth that moment, you know, and to speak with confidence. But that takes time. So that's the first personal dimension of emotional intelligence. You have also the other leg, which is the interpersonal dimension. That is when you look into the other. Social awareness, mutual care, caring about the others, what Otto was speaking about. We talk about relationship management. We talk about social responsibility. Effective leadership that is strengthened with competencies such as empathy that our young leader also talked about. And positive influence. You see, you can be an influencer all over Instagram. But are you a positive influencer? Are your grandmother having what she needs when you are on social media? Mutual care. What are we doing? What did we do with 2020, or to ask? What are we going to do for December? How are we going to use December to make money? How are we going to use December to bring hope to another child? Instead of buying a case of 24 beers, buy 12 and use the remaining 12's money to buy stationeries for a deserving child. That's what we do for December. I picked them already. Who is deserving of my stationery list? And it's not money that is lying somewhere. It's money that I sacrifice. There are certain things I don't do, ladies and gentlemen. I don't buy food when I'm at work. I pack my own sandwiches. It's the truth. And if I didn't pack my sandwiches, I'll have the coffee and I'll have the water that is there at work. I don't go and buy food. And I don't get hungry. Because if I want to eat, I must pack my food. Like I pack my husband's lunchbox. That money which we save, it's to do good. To help a needy child. And we start usually with stationeries. We start with underwear. Otto talked about pads. Why are we having uncles and nephews and fathers who do not know that when you do shopping, the first thing you put is sanitary towels for your daughter or your niece? So that interpersonal dimension of, in our Africa context, it also includes conflict management. Now you will be asked, who is a better person with the highest emotional intelligence? Is it a man or is it a woman? And for the past 20 years, this has been a topic of key interest, emotional intelligence. But let me tell you the secret. In an organization like the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, you need both. You need men with the masculine traits, and you need women with the feminine qualities. I want to tell the ladies a secret, but I first want to say, the masculine traits, you need the leaders in an industry or as an entrepreneur. You need to be performance driven. Those are seen in research as masculine traits. The winning strike, you know, the streak, the competitiveness, the domination by the males, the level of control, the directive leadership, you will do so. You know? You do as I say. But why? Because I say so. The directive leadership. They say males have usually more self-confidence than women. Not so sure about that one. But they also say that men are able to handle stress much better than females. And that men are more optimistic in the workplace. It's for you to decide in your context whether that is the case. But I do know that my male colleagues in education has a soothing effect on me when the popo hits the fan and things need to be done. You know, they are there, strong for us. What are the feminine qualities? Now, first and foremost, if we as leaders embrace emotional intelligence, we are able to set the tone for employees to be having high morale. Because you recognize them, you thank them, simple thanking, thank you. You praise them, you compliment them, you groom them, you believe in them, you give them challenging tasks. They challenge their mindsets also, their critical thinking, their decision making. We need to inculcate a culture of ownership for what is assigned to you. Please, people, we must move away from being constantly asked, how far are you? Have you done the task? Why am I not hearing from you? How have you been doing? Come forward because you own that task. Reach out and say, Ms. Sanet, I am this far. I was wondering, I'm struggling with this. Can you kindly assist me? So, they say, us as women, we believe in emotional mentoring of our staff members. We know how to multitask. My daughter is a teacher, and I'm so regretting that she's not here today. The other time she was working on the schedules at the school as a computer teacher, and she asked the principal, do you mind if I play music while I work? Because, you know, she's 29 years old. You know, most, you work best with music. And the teacher said, no, you cannot multitask like that. But women, we multitask. I can tell you, and I want to challenge you, check when your kettle is boiling, how long your kettle boil, and what you can do during the time that your kettle is boiling. I challenge you. You can do so much. I can load the washing machine. I can open the tap and put hot water. I can take my mint and put it in my tea kettle to make my tea. I can quickly go and check if my husband is okay. Does he want to have Milo? I can come back and open the window there. That's what we do. And we do it in the workplace as well. There's a journalist who wants to speak to you. The minister needs to have a question answered. There's a parent who wants to talk about the school in Ondangwa that they feel it must be the ED and not the director to answer the question. And you know, the husband here wants to have a Milo. Can't he make the Milo for himself? Bakwetu. Ahman. You know, can't he make his Milo for himself? No, I must leave all these things and quick. But we do it because we are women. We have empathy. We build relationship. We have social responsibility. We believe in participation, collaboration, and as she said, empowerment. We believe that knowledge is not locked within ourselves. If I move from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, we must remember one thing. Sanet Steenkamp is not the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. The Minister, Esther Anna Nipondoka, is not the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture. It is bigger than the individual. It's about the collective, about each and every of the 40,000 staff members. It's about them. And what they do, that chain, that value chain to keep the ministry going. You know, every interaction that you have, ladies and gentlemen, will give meaning to only two things. Every interaction you have with people. One, it's positive. You can either use that opportunity, any opportunity you have to engage, whether it's with young children, whether it's with family members at home, whether it is now that Otto is going to have another presentation, he can either use that opportunity to empower or engage, to nurture relationships, to remove obstacles to our progress, to reinforce trust and loyalty, and to instill trust and commitment. That's the one leg of engagements. The other leg is quite the opposite. You can use your interaction to belittle others, that work with you in your entrepreneurial role. You can disempower them, you can be distant, not want to engaging with them. There's such beauty to interact with other people because you learn so much from them. So let's open ourselves up to learn from unexpected sources you won't imagine. So emotional intelligence is all about social responsibility and mutual caring. And I want to share with you 5 things that do not cost money, that I went through and that I use and still use during the time of COVID. And Augustinus, because he knew I did not, we are always in touch. But during COVID, he saw I was too quiet. And he sent me a beautiful, long email. I'm telling you, where he encouraged me, where he inspired me, where he uplifted me. Because you see, leadership is a journey of the soul. I want you to keep that in mind and write it down. Leadership is the journey of your soul. Because I will end with my soul, this little discussion. You see, the words honesty and integrity are these days used too loosely. That for some people, when they wear the word integrity, it's just another politician speaking. It's just another national maralisteel. They are eating our money. They are corrupt in their souls, in the core of their being. Ja, so moenie vir my kom vertel van integrity nie. Ja. But I want you to ask yourself, or to ask, what does integrity means to you? What does it mean to serve with integrity? I am standing here, ladies and gentlemen, as a proud public servant. And I can tell you that every morning, I ask God, I ask Him to allow me to serve with simplicity, to serve my nation with simplicity, with sincerity, and with integrity. Integrity means I will act the way I act when nobody is seeing me. If there's nobody in the office and no cameras in my office, do I pack my bag full of coffee, tea, and go home just because there's nobody to see it? You know, what do I do when people do not see me? Am I the same person that I'm here now? Am I the same person at home? Or am I a different person? Before I go to the 5 points, ladies and gentlemen, I know my time, Harrison. I know my time. I want to tell ladies, we are living in a man's world. We have 30,000 teachers in this country, both private school, 3,000 around, 27,000 in public schools. 30,000 teachers. 20,000 of them are female. 20,000, né? Out of the 30,000. Luister nou mooi. Now, you have 1,995 schools, which means that each school needs a principal, right? But who sits on the interview panels? The men. Oh, we to go? So what happens? The woman always in the interviews come 4th, 3rd, maybe 2nd or so. Most women are appointed as head of departments, and most men are appointed as principals. We are living in a man's world. That when I became 6 years ago, when I moved to Ongwena, I was seen as this thin, I was thin, yes. I've now grown into a full, voluptuous, mature woman. I was seen as this thin, colored woman from outside. And you had to find your niche in a different culture. And you know what we do? We compromise. We started to dress like men, dark colors, power colors, black, gray. Because at least when I walk into there, you know, I must also be counted. I'm so sad. But I look back and we self-reflect, Augustinus, and we learn that we've grown. You can also be feminine in your leadership. You are enough. Please write it down, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need to fit in. You are enough. And if you want to wear red shoes with a blue dress, do it. You are enough. You don't have to prove. Man, if you look at who sits at the UN Security Council, just when you watch news, please do me a favor, don't just listen. Please don't just listen. Watch, analyze, be critical, dissect. Look at the men who are dressed there. They are all in black, dark blue, gray. It's to intimidate you. And you know what research found? That apparently if a woman wears a flowery dress, oh, she's so emotional, she can't make decisions on a national level. Wear your lipstick. You are enough with or without a lipstick. And if you want to wear a jacket, you know, just to round it off, do so. But if you just want to wear your dress, you are enough. Amen to that, ladies? What helped me through COVID, except for the prayers of the people? First and foremost, I learned to be more empathetic. As a leader, I learned I had to understand that if things are tough for me, how tough are they for the parents who now have to sit with children with a prolonged period of time at home? How tough is it for the teachers losing their loved ones? How tough is it for the learner? It's tougher for them than it is tough for me. I had to put myself in their shoes. And after all the years, I've always been a good listener. Or so I thought. But the last 2 years, the last 20 months, taught me really to listen with intent. Listen not just to respond, but listen to understand. And to tell the person, I hear you. Even if I don't have the answers. That is empathy. All of us, we are too harsh to judge. We are too judgmental. Please, if the color block of that person who's dressing don't suit you, it's okay. Mind your business and drink your water. It is okay. Let us stop being judgmental. The other thing was motivation and resilience. You see, they say in the African context, if you want to move the mountain tomorrow, you must start picking the stones today. You can't start tomorrow. If you want to start writing the first sentence of a chapter or the book, you need to start reading today. So you need to self-motivate. You can't rely on others. You need the resilience. And that is a word that we've also heard a lot. But what does resilience mean? If you take a tennis ball and you throw the tennis ball on the ground, it will bounce back. That is the human spirit. We always bounce back. Our parents can walk next to their shoes for us. We should not forget to go back. When we lose a loved one, Otto just lost his father in July. He bounced back. He had to. He had to bounce back and move forward. Losing a loved one, a colleague, a friend. But in the end, we bounce back again because that's the human spirit. We are stronger than we think. We are stronger than we think.
been raped 3, 4, 5 times. The person bounced back. So, the fourth thing, it's a very interesting one. What Otto said, criticism. As a leader with emotional intelligence, you must be able to do self-reflection. I can't tell you how many times I've driven home, crying, reflecting. When I drive from work, did I do enough? Where did I fail? How can I do more? How can I do better? I cried. You have to be open and show acceptance to criticism. Let me tell you today, there are two things that go hand in hand. As a leader, you will be praised, isn't it so? And you will be vilified. Those two are two qualities that go hand in hand. You need to know, and I want to paraphrase the words of a pastor who said, if you do not live by the praises of people, you will also not die by their criticism. You don't need people to tell you how good you are, how strong you are. You must know it. But you know, it doesn't mean that the bad things they say don't hurt us. Am I with you? Yes. So I want you also to tell you a distinction. I can't mention here the worst thing that I've been called. This is a public platform. But just recently, I've been called a total failure by a politician, Swakwe. Me and my minister. They are total failures. So what do you do as a leader when you hear that? And when people say to you what he said, or what somebody else said, you acknowledge it, first and foremost. You don't run away from it. You say to yourself, okay, so I'm being called a total failure. You just acknowledge it. And then you ask yourself, how does it make me feel? And you answer your question. Makes me feel bad. I feel sad. I know I'm trying, but it makes me feel bad. That is acknowledgement. You acknowledge how you feel. Yes. But you do not internalize that. Are you with me? Yes. You don't internalize it. You don't go to bed saying, why she I'm not a total failure. Once you acknowledge it, you move on. Because you are enough. Remember? Because as an educational leader, you always try to do what is just, what is fair, and what is right. And you use your facts, you use your law, you use your frameworks that you have, the consultations, and you make your decisions. So, criticism must also be there. You must take from criticism and see, is there something I can take from here? Should I have perhaps consulted more? You know? So, criticism is not all bad, but do not internalize failure, derogatory things that people say about you, because you are enough. Remember that when we know ourselves, you will also know that every dog that barks doesn't need to be thrown a stone at. You just keep on jogging, isn't it? That is the fourth one. There will always be those who want to nurture you, Augustinus, but there will also be detractors. And Otto, you know that. You should know that. You should know that. There will be those who nurture you, but there will also be the detractors, the people who stab you in the back. Yeah. But don't go and sit in a corner. It's okay to acknowledge at that moment, but you don't internalize it. Promise me. All right, I'm towards the end. So what I've learned is that I must manage my internal world, my soul. You must guard your soul jealously. I learned to manage my fears, my anxieties,
because I'm a human being. I'm vulnerable. I cry. I cry, people. There were times that I cried in the boardroom, 9 o'clock at night with my team, because of certain decisions that were made above our heads. We cried. We were tired. We were exhausted. We are human beings. And then we wipe our tears. We said, let's go home. We see each other tomorrow morning. We are human beings. Admit that we are human beings. You must keep your ego on a tight leash. Do not allow your ego to go ahead of you. It's like Otto said. You feel good, you're in the public eye, you do this. No. Keep your ego on a tight leash. I've learned to nurture my sense of humor, and I've also learned to love and forgive myself. I've learned to love and forgive myself. I enjoy and cherish my solitude. I love to spend time on my own, where I don't need to make Milo for anybody. And you know, when I made my husband's Milo, then I tell him, Gibbers, I am going to enjoy my coffee now, which means I'm actually telling my husband respectfully not to call me. Yeah, I just didn't tell him I'm going to enjoy my coffee now. He's on his own, I'm on my own. I love my solitude. I love being on my own because that's the time that you look deeply into your soul. You look at your strength, your weaknesses, at the person who you are. The authentic being comes to you when you treasure your own. I said, I know what I'm going to do in December. I'm going to work, but I'm also going to lost myself in books and study. You must read. You must read. If you have money for entertainment, you must also have money for books every month. If you have money for entertainment, do you know how much is a vodka? I didn't know until I spoke to the young ones. And when I went home, Otto, I also wanted to spoil my uncles and my brother, the sister come huis toe. And people think you earn this huge money. You don't earn a lot of money. Take it all. And hey, when I went from Tops, it's when I realized how expensive is alcohol. But I also made a big pot of curry, and we all enjoyed. But if you have money for entertainment, you also set money aside for your books. So remember that leadership is a journey of the soul. I want to end by saying that I believe in God. I love God. I engage and I discuss with Him everything. And every morning I do pray for the protection of my soul. Because I'm a public servant. What does that mean? I pray because the soul has power. I pray every morning that God protects my soul against any form of corruption, any form of evil, any form of harm and abuse by others, any form, of threat on my soul. Because I ask God after that, give me your grace to live a life of intentional integrity. Who I am and what I have is enough. What I have and what I am is enough. God, make sure of that. And you won't believe me how I ended this saying. I said, and I can show it, and Otto talked about it, love and hope are gifts that we can give under the sun to each and everybody. Unconditional love and hope. So Otto has inspired all of us to be ambassadors of hope. Practice it for 1 week, practice it for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for a month. You'll be amazed at the joy it will bring you when you are an ambassador of hope. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you sincerely. Augustinus, I'm extremely proud of you. I love you and appreciate you, and I can just say we are here to support you all the way. And all of us, there's something, if you are scared of writing a book, start with a journal. Start with a journal. Capture your thoughts, your words, your emotions. How did that encounter at the work make you feel? Capture it. Capture it, because that journal you will need one day when you tell your journey and your experience to the others. Speak up for what is right, what is fair, and what is just. You are an ambassador of hope. Thank you very much.
May we please give our mother another round of applause. Very briefly, some takeaways. Leadership is the journey of the soul. Anyone aspiring to be a leader, it is a soul journey. It's not about accolades, positions, or power. I love that I learned the difference between being assertive and aggressive. They don't have to be one and the same thing. A wise man once said, show me who reads your books, and I'll show you the leaders convicted to lead with integrity and intelligence. The wise man further on went to say, show me who you impress, and I will know the quality and value of your wisdom.